Okay. So right now we're on 5. You can scratch 5. Um, and I'm about to introduce my good friend Eddie Sanders. Um, attorney, how long have you been an attorney, Eddie? It's a while, right?
11 years. Yeah. Just happened November 5th,
That's,
20.
that's the anniversary?
Yeah, November 5th, 2009 is when I was sworn in.
Wow. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you for joining us. I know you're joining us from St. Louis.
Yeah. But this is the cyber world, so I can be anywhere. I'm actually in Paris.
Oh, well, bonjour. Well, we got to do that for the next one. Live from Paris.
Right.
Eddie is everywhere. So, are we talking? Am I leaving you to it? What are we?
I mean, we can talk. Maybe if Molly could put up that picture I sent her, the chart, because that chart is going to be cool to look at throughout the conversation.
I love chart.
With the whole team building thing, when I talk to you about it, right now I have a podcast, Lawyers for Musicians. So in the podcast, we're starting our series, and the series is the Team Builder series. The first episode was on managers. Next one's going to be on lawyers, and then we're going to go through each one of the departments. What I wanted to do here was almost give a outline of that, because I think it's going to be beneficial for artists at whatever level they're at, to understand this structure. And to note that where this structure came from is I took the model of what a record label looks like, and I broke it down so artists of any level could understand it. Because essentially, when you get with a label, there's going to be that CEO or the shareholders or whoever owns the organization up top. But in this sense, as the artist, the manager, as the artist, you are the CEO. I think that's important to remember just overall that the artist, you are in control of your business. This is your brand. All of these other people work for you, even though they may give you advice that doesn't fit what you think your brand intent is. You at the end of the day you are still the owner of this. So that's why you sit up top as the CEO. And also understanding as the CEO, a lot of responsibilities falls back on you because you are the man at the top of the chart. Right? So this first level of management that you have is we see business affairs, executive VP, and legal affairs. That's exactly how the structure is in major labels or even corporate America. You have your business affairs department, and then you have your legal affairs department. In this situation, we're calling these our business manager, our personal manager, and our lawyer. Regardless of how you move as an artist, it is important to always have legal representation before you start signing deals. I would say out of these 3, the one that may come last is your business manager, because you have to be showing some type of consistent revenue coming in to essentially need the business manager. But what's also important, if we look at this chart, it's a straight line from the artist down to the personal manager, and then from the personal manager to all these other 6 departments. That personal manager is very important, and it also gets into what the role of the personal manager is. He's not the one actually going to get shows for you. He's not the one actually always putting money up, investing into the artist. He is the one that essentially manages these 6 other departments. Same way you have in baseball, you have that manager that sets the lineup to make sure you got a pitcher, catcher, first baseman, all that. That is the same thing here for your personal manager. So it's important to understand what the roles of all these people are as well. So that personal manager is going to be your day-to-day guy that's overseeing all 6 of your other departments. We're going to get back to lawyer, manager, and all that, but just noting what those 6 departments are, we have artist development, we have marketing, we have sales, merchandising, public relations, and social media. In all 6 of these, they may intertwine and work together, but they are in themselves different departments. Note that touring isn't up here because in my experience or how I view this, touring is a culmination of all of these happening, and successful touring comes from all of these departments doing what they need to be doing. So when we look over at artist development, super important, super key, because this is our producer and our engineer, the people that are helping write our songs, the people that are helping shape our sound. So Martin, you're here with me. I just want to ask, when we're looking at this chart and you've run a successful label and you've also managed as well, do you see the correlation of how this chart can also help with understanding major label structure as well?
Well, yeah, I think that this is a step that most artists don't even think about. Artists are thinking about, when can I add a keyboard player and a trumpet, not realizing that they also need to interface with the business people that they're working with.
Definitely.
And these people, this is great. This is all really important.
Sweet. So also understanding, we're building this team regardless if you're an independent artist or even if you sign with a label, because even when you sign with that label, their job isn't to do all of these departments for you. You essentially have to come in with the game plan. You have to come in with the finished material. And they may do a couple of them. Let me correct that. They may do some marketing for you. They may help with your sales and your distribution. But essentially, this structure, you need to have this ecosystem created for yourself, regardless of what your level is. So our artist development, we're looking at our producers, we're looking at our engineers, who is really helping to shape our sound. That's going to be very key. And we're talking about the overall picture of your artist. Then we're moving on to, we have marketing, sales, merchandising. Marketing, we ought to remember, key to remember in marketing is that that's different from public relations, that's different from sales, because marketing is the actual creation of what we say our rollout is going to look like. So anything dealing with our rollout, anything dealing with creating tour content, things of these natures, this is our marketing department. Within our marketing department, this may be a third-party service that you hire to do this for you, or this may be, again, your manager helping find people and creating a team to do this for you. But very key to understand the difference between our marketing, public relations, and sales. Because public relations, we're talking about PR, we're talking about people trying to get you press. PR is taking the marketing story and then applying that to press. So I know oftentimes people may confuse the marketing and PR and saying, isn't it all advertising? At the end of the day, it may be a branding opportunity or advertising, but it is a difference between marketing and public relations. Our last one that we see over there is at social media. And we have to give kudos to Soulja Boy for having this as an actual department, because he was very inspirational in kicking off the whole MySpace movement and using social media to engage with fans. So now more than ever, this is an actual department within itself, because you have to be very coordinated within your content on IG, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Things have to connect. You have to have the right impressions on there. So this is an actual department within itself as well. One thing I didn't touch was the merchandising part. So again, as an artist, you have to brand yourself. You have to have some type of product out there, some type of physical product out there, because we are now in the digital age, and to actually engage and touch your fans, you have to give them some type of physical product. So when we say merchandising, it's not just t-shirts, it's not just hats. This is where your marketing department is coming in and they're creating what your story is for your rollout. So from that story, your merchandising department can figure out what type of merch can we do. We had an artist that I used to manage, his name was Show You Suck. He was very big. His branding thing was around pizza. He always had pizza records. We did probably like 4 projects, One Man Pizza Party one, like we did a series of One Man Pizza Party things. So in our branding and our marketing, we decided our rollout was going to be based around pizza, of course, and like using Pizza Hut logos, flipping those, things of that nature. That idea now goes to merchandising. We say, all right, so when we are shipping off t-shirts, let's put them inside of a pizza box. So that's just an example of taking your marketing idea and applying it to merchandising. When we're talking about our sales, again, we have streaming, very big right now, also adding in there vinyl, any type of physical distribution. But our sales department is the ones, especially when we're talking about streaming, we're tapping into playlisting, we're tapping into getting the connections with the people at Spotify, the titles. So now when our songs are posted, we're getting charted on the proper playlist. We're also getting charted on those front pages, because the people that get on those front pages are the ones that have their sales department making sure those DSPs are connected and understand what's going on. You got anything right now, Martin? You want me to just keep rolling, or how you feeling?
Molly says there's a couple of questions in the Q&A, but before she gets to those, I just want to let everybody know that but a marketing department, and I remember the show You Suck stuff, there was pizza everywhere. The marketing department doesn't come up with your vibe for you. That's up to the artist, right? And if the artist doesn't have a bunch of things going on that are noteworthy and that people will talk about, then you're at the mercy of a marketing department trying to come up with cool stuff to do.
Right.
Cost you money, and will end up with you playing bagpipes wearing a kilt, you know, because somebody had a crazy idea. So it's one of the reasons I did this whole scratch and sniff thing, is because it's different, it differentiates, and it's an artist's job to do that. Marketing, sales, merchandise, all these things amplify and monetize those things. But it's the artist's job to have the vibe.
Definitely, yeah. So that's why the artists, we look at it, they're at the top of this pyramid again. Like, these ideas flow down from them, and it's up to those departments to execute it. Also important to remember, the reason, even if the artist doesn't do all of these jobs, they need to understand what these jobs do and how they're separate, so that when they're engaging with a marketing company or they're engaging with a merchandising company, they understand, oh, this merchandising company may not actually design my logos. I have to actually create them and just send them finished PDFs, and then from there they can create the screen prints or whatever the case may be. So not getting that confused, so that when you're creating your rollout, so you're thinking about how you want to plan, you're not reaching out to the wrong people. And then when these people aren't showing up and doing their job correctly, you know that this isn't right, because I have experience in doing this. You have a very DIY setup where you yourself, if you wanted to put out an album, you almost hit all of these. Your engagement on social media is insane. You can reach out to some people at the Reader or whatever the case may be to get an article on it. You're gonna have great t-shirts. You already have your distribution set up. Your marketing ideas are insane. And then you have a studio in your house. Like, that's essentially that, So I think that's another thing to show that this is doable. You can do it. You can scale it to whatever level you want it to have. You can have it as small as you want it to be. You can have it as large as you want it to be. But this has to happen. At some form or fashion, you need this if you want to be within the music industry. Now, if you just want to make music, have fun, play with your friends, just put stuff on SoundCloud, then this isn't the chart you're looking at. But if you're saying, I want to make money in the industry, I want to be here, I want to create a career, legacy for my family, this is the structure you're going to need.
It's a nice comment from Ted Cohen. When you use social media, be a megaphone for artists you admire, not just for yourself.
Definitely.
I enjoy lifting up other artists, and I hesitate to promote my own stuff sometimes. Sometimes I don't, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because also remember, like, when we say social media, we're not just saying just straight promotion of self, saying album out, album out, album out. I mean, put up content of you cooking, put up content of you hanging out with your people, like, just showing you as a person. And then that also includes also telling the people that the music that you enjoy, uplifting them, bringing that community of artists, bringing that community of fans to your page now, because they see that you like that same artist. So, like, yeah, it's not always about buy this, look at me, hey, look what I got going on. It's more of less real engagement, and social media is what you're using to engage with people. So,
did you say there's a couple of questions, Molly?
Which person? I think I'm looking at it. We'll see. Which person on this hierarchy do you think is the first person an artist should hire when should an artist thinking about hiring this first person? Cool. I'm not. She's gonna have to accept my bias when I say the lawyer. But but no, I would say that is clutch and that is key, because this is the man that's going to help you set up the actual structure of your LLC, S corp, whatever the case may be. Also inform you on how to copyright, trademark your different materials, and then also when we're talking about signing our contract with our manager, signing our contract with our business manager, we need someone to handle that paperwork and be able to read over that. So I would say lawyers first, personal manager, day-to-day manager second, and then our business manager.
And there's nothing wrong with once your radar is up, just like this could be a merch person for me. This
Right, right.
could be the business manager down the line, and start the relationship without hiring everybody and doing that.
And then also now, if you want to actually employ your friends, you can give them actual departments and say, hey, bro, I want you to learn up on merchandising. So he's learning screen printing game. He's learning minimums when you have to order blanks, how long that process takes, so now you can actually employ your friend and then now create a job for them as well, and not just employ them and have them out here. Because sometimes people, they have their homies hanging around the studio and they're not really doing anything, let's be honest. So now you can look at this structure and say, okay, I'm going to employ my people to do these certain things. And then we're looking at artist development. I know I said lawyer should be first as far as hiring people, but that artist development, because again, that's our producers and our engineers, that's almost the first team you need to have on the art side. When it comes to the business side, the lawyers first, but that artist development, making sure you're locked in with somebody that can record you properly, and locked in with somebody that's going to help push you as an artist and bring out the most in your music. Because at the end of the day, if your music is trash, then you might not need anything else, Cool. What is the difference between a business manager and a personal manager? I'm glad you put that up there, because I need to actually break that down. So our business manager, when we're talking business affairs, this is more of a finance person, more of our accountant person. When we're talking about business management, it's literally like that is our accountant. So the difference between a business manager and a the personal manager is taking care of overseeing all day-to-day operations. Your business manager is making sure cash is coming in, cash is going out. They're the ones that's probably going to be paying everyone out. They're the ones handling your accounts. They're the ones forecasting how much you're going to make that year, whatever the case may be. So when we think business affairs, we're thinking finance. So I hope that gives you the separation into a business manager, personal manager. So Martin, do you have experience with different business managers for your label, or do you just do the accountant route?
I just do the accountant route, but
Okay.
I may be thinking about that at some point. But I also wanted to emphasize that that artists need to get involved with everything. Right? You can't negotiate a deal and carve out some things that are essential to the existence of your artistry if you haven't done anything yet, right?
Right.
So it's by doing something, maybe releasing something yourself, doing some shows, you could say, wow, we've been on the road and we can never play on a Tuesday because every time we've played on a Tuesday, it's been bad. We need our merchandise separate because that's going to pay my bills. I know it is. And maybe you can negotiate to carve that out. But if you don't know what's important to your brand, you don't know to carve it out.
Definitely. No, that's a very important point. Actually doing some legwork and getting a feel for who you are as an artist is a step that some people like to rush, but it's super important to understand how this thing operates. And that's when you make the example of merchandising. I remember with our group BBU, how we learned, okay, we really don't need to care about how much we're getting paid at the show, because every show we pull up to, we're making 3 or 4 times that in t-shirts. Now let's make sure we actually start getting a better quality t-shirt, something that lasts longer, so fans appreciate it more. So we didn't understand how important that was until we actually got out on the road and saw the numbers for ourselves. So.
I've got to read you this. Ted Cohen put a quote in the Q&A. personal manager equals ecosystem, business manager equals ecosystem.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm going to go make a shirt that says
Yeah,
that.
hey, Ted, copyright trademark, that's ours now. That is me and Martin's. We, you may get a back end percentage, but yeah, that's our t-shirt now, buddy. Thank you. Let's see, at what point do you add on these layers into your team versus doing it yourself? I'm looking at when you get to the point that you can't handle it all by yourself, then it's time to employ someone to do it. So that's why it's important to start off. You should try all of these things yourself and have a grasp for it. And then once the demand reaches a certain point, you'll know it when you reach the point you're like, man, I just can't handle this right now. That's when you need to start looking into adding those different layers. Except for like the lawyer portion. I mean, even with all these departments, because even with the lawyer portion, you should be educating yourself before you even start speaking with lawyers on what is a copyright, what is a trademark, what are some of the current contracts, looking up the different, looking up at the news, seeing the different things that are going on, like say, oh, there's a Drake lawsuit, this lawsuit. What are these lawsuits mean? So just having an understanding of that before reaching out to legal or reaching out to any of these departments, you should have some type of grasp of what's going on. When talking to a label, what should you absolutely avoid in contracts? Ensure flexibility, creative freedom, keeping the rights to your music, getting paid for the music you create. Okay, that's one of those we always answer as lawyers, it depends type answers. But understanding with contracts, there is flexibility. You just have to understand your leverage. I think leverage is the most important part in negotiation. When you're going into contract negotiations, it's going to be an exchange of assets, essentially, is what negotiation is. I'm giving you this, you're giving me that. We made a fair trade on this. If you don't have leverage or any assets on your end to bargain with, you're not going to be able to have the flexibility to negotiate as strong. So that's why it gets back to this slide here. If you come to a label with all of this set up as your team, now you can demand and say, hey, I just want to partner with you because really all I need is for your sales department to help me out here. So now we're going to do 50-50 split. I'm going to own the masters. You're going to give me an advance that we're going to put towards my marketing team that I already have set up here. You know, you can now spell those things out in the negotiation because you honestly have that team. If you don't have that team or you don't have the music, then you're going to be at the mercy of the label. So that's a great question that you asked because it now drives home the point of why it's important to have this set up.
I like to, that's all really good. I like to say, if a label is doing you a favor to sign you, you're fucked, right?
Yeah. If they're just looking out for you, then yeah.
Right. But you need to present a case to the label. Like, look, we've done this on our own. Why do we even need you? Like, well, you need us because we can do that. And then you get them to commit to doing the things that take you to the next level, because the numbers at a DIY level, the numbers are pretty good doing it yourself with 1,000 clients.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And even during COVID, if you look around or ask around, the independent artists have been doing much better than the label artists during this time because they have to do it. Now there was such a disconnect between getting jobs done because COVID shut down everything, that the DIY artists or the independent artists, the artists that had their own structure, was still able to come up with new ideas. The independent artist was the first one to start doing the live streaming of the concerts. They were the first ones on the Twitch, the Discord. It was then the big labels that saw this movement that then they started getting behind that. So it's always that indie artist that kicks that thing off whenever you see innovation in music, you know. Well, how would you suggest finding a good lawyer? Maybe Martin can answer that one because I'm gonna just say, you see my website on the end of the picture, hit me up, I got you. But no, when finding a good lawyer, honestly, it's making sure they understand the lingo of music and they understand the lingo of entertainment. They understand the revenue streams of music. They understand the revenue streams of entertainment. all lawyers can probably read a contract, but only a entertainment attorney or a music attorney that's well versed can understand the lingo and also understand uh, how the revenue streams work, because you don't want somebody negotiating on your behalf that's going to leave money on the table because they don't understand, oh, I should have gotten a sound exchange letter direction here because digital mechanicals are different from physical mechanicals. So just things of that nature. It's like, so when you're looking for that lawyer, asking those questions about who they've worked with, what type of deals they've done, and then also trying to reach out to those people. Say, for instance, if I say, I used to represent Martin Atkins, reach out to Martin Atkins and say, hey, how good of a job did Eddie Sanders do on that contract? Was he helpful? Was he beneficial? Because my business is very referral based, like very, very referral based, where it's coming from another artist telling the artist, hey, holla at Eddie, he got me out of my deal over here, or holla at Eddie, he made sure I was straight when I signed with that publishing company. So yeah, the word will go around and referrals will be spread. So just reaching out to people that you've seen worked with this lawyer, or even sitting down with that lawyer himself and asking him some of those questions.
Right. It's the same as buying a car. You know, you kick the
Yeah,
tires.
kick the tires.
That report that tells you that 8 months ago this car was in a flood and under 6 feet of water. You know, you ask around and you pay attention as if this was another member of your band.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is again your team at the end of the day. You want to make sure these people, this ecosystem can work together. They don't have to actually literally work together, but the system has to work. So yeah, important that not only are they good at their jobs, that they're people that are here for your benefit and here to help you. Because at the end of the day, this is your brand, this is your baby, this is your business. All these other departments can go work with someone else and do this with another artist. I'll probably be a lawyer for, I don't know, God willing, 40, 50 years, whatever the case may be. But I can always be a lawyer. This artist, you as an artist, it's just that. You know, you almost really have one shot with this. So let's not waste it working with people that aren't aligned with you and aren't here for your benefit. That's one important thing. When you're working with these people, they should be in line with your energy and how you move. So, yeah.
There's a question from Fletcher uh, asking about spinning off merch, allowing the merch company to take the risk, pay the artist royalties. Venues ask for a share of the merch. Is there an advantage to selling the risk and taking the royalties instead?
Well, when you sign with a major label, typically there is a merchandising deal in there, and you oftentimes are selling away your name and likeness, and there's a whole company that handles all of your merchandising, and like you have in there, they just pay you a percentage of that. So if that's the case, that's when you're a large Travis Scott, Rihanna, Kanye West type artist, and you're putting out millions and millions of T-shirts. You're working with a company to handle all that. When it comes to venues asking for a share of merch, I would ask them why. Why, unless they're, what is the spot, like a Metro, where they have a built-in merch area and they have somebody working it for you, things of that case. If they're offering something like that, then maybe, yeah, I'll give you a percentage of what happens. But if they're just taking a percentage because they're asking for it, you got to ask, why do you want it? So just, yeah, I would have pushback on that, just reading it from there. But those merch companies, they're important because they also give you an advance too. If you want to just take some upfront money, then you can work with a merch company on that. I didn't realize how big the merch companies were until one of my fashion designer clients was getting sued from Rihanna. And not only did Rihanna send us a letter, her merchandising company sent us a letter, Rock Nation sent us a letter. So it was a lot of people that were mad at us. And I was like, wow, I didn't know the reach was that big, but
Wow.
definitely.
I would say my input on the merch stuff is when somebody else is taking care of it for you, let's say at a Metro, it could be 10, 20, or 30%. I'm going to fight tooth and nail. You know, I mean, really going to fight. I've threatened to pull shows over ridiculously high merch percentages, especially if it's a lower guarantee. a merch company is just going to pay that money on your behalf and show you the invoice later. So,
Right.
you know, you have to be careful about what you give away and why. Yeah.
Definitely. Um, how does a band navigate the threat of civil liability if an audience member is injured? Well, your touring company or your touring LLC should have some type of insurance. You should have some type of coverage as an artist. The venue also should have coverage. So making sure when you sign that deal with the venue about the show, it's spelled out who is liable. And as the band, I would always try and put that on the venue, make sure the venue has insurance for those things. So if an artist member is injured, it falls on that venue to have to pay out for that. And then also making sure you have an LLC set up, limited liability company, so that if someone is injured and you have a designated touring LLC business, they can't come after revenue from sales or revenue from other things. They can only come after the touring revenue if you were to be sued. So, how would this structure differ for a songwriter? I wouldn't say it differs too much, because as a songwriter, that you're still going to have artist development. You're still going to be marketing yourself as an artist to write for other artists. You're still going to be collecting publishing. So you still have a sales department. You're still going to be on social media. Maybe your merchandising isn't actually t-shirts or anything like that, but that's something that could still be there. And then with PR, you're starting to see a lot more songwriters get their recognition and getting articles, getting into our complex and things of that nature. So this structure is still important for you as well. At what point in your career do 360 deals actually make sense? We're starting to see less 360 deals, but when it would make sense is when the label was literally doing all of this work. If they were literally being your team, handling your merchandising, running your social medias, doing all the PR for you, coming up with your marketing rollouts, getting you the artist development, paying for touring, paying for all these things, then yeah, maybe I'll give you a percentage. And if we don't remember what a 360 deal is, that's when the label essentially takes a percentage of all of your revenue streams. Anything that you make money from as an artist, they get a percentage of, so that would be the 360, the circle. So if they're helping with all of the revenue streams, then it would make sense for them to get a percentage of that. If they're not helping with it or putting money behind it, then I would say it doesn't make sense. But how do you feel about the 360, Martin?
There are, if it's the right label, absolutely, and
Right.
who's going to leave the label, if and you're experienced, then there are situations where the entire team of the label isn't going to help you as much if they're helping and they're seeing somebody else doing sync licensing, going on holiday to Australia for 2 months based while they're still in the hole on your overall career. Same
Right.
with merchandise. But I think you have to keep some things, you've got to try and keep some things back for the cash flow,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, because I think if you look at even now during COVID, a lot of artists under these types of deals were struggling to maintain any cash flow because the touring was gone, merchandising was still there, but the label was eating from all of those different percentages. So we see Ty Christian there's a single owner LLC still offer the same type of liability protection in that case of injury. Yeah, regardless of what type of LLC, multiple member or single member, you still are afforded the same liability protection.
Okay.
I think that was all of the questions we had in there.
Good deal. Do you have anything else to add, Eddie?
I just think I'm always big component on education. Me and you did a couple years together at SAE.
Yeah.
So I always want to let artists know, educate yourself on this. Keep learning about the industry, never stop learning about what's going on, understand that now we're shifting. I should have actually changed that from how to build a team in the music industry to how to build a team in the tech industry, because music is now tech. Tech drives music. The people that control how music is distributed now are people that have never plucked a guitar or banged on a keyboard before. You know, there's really algorithm based. So understanding what that means, understanding the distinction between music and tech, so that you're educating yourself on what the future might look like. So,
Ted, it's great to have Ted Cohen on this. In a 360, you don't want to find yourself with your merch revenue cross-collateralized against your recording shortfall, right? So that's the way the label protects themselves. It's like, well, if we lose money here, we'll get it back over there. But if the label, if you spend too much money on your album and the merchandise money is going to fill in the hole by the album, you're just sitting there waiting with no revenue. That's another great reason to try and keep this stuff, keep one thing out separate, so you can, at least you can be. Also, if you don't have the rights to your shirts, this happened to me on a book deal, which I bought my way out of. Suddenly I lost the ability to just give my books out. You know, one of my books cost me $5. Oh, did I just?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
no.
One of my books cost me $5. Once I did a book deal to do it properly, it's like every time I gave away a book, it was costing me $15. It's like it can be it can impede your ability to promote yourself and get to the next level.
Definitely. Another tip I want to throw out there, I saw this link. It's called the Record Label Simulator. It's a great chart where you can plug in how much you guys, as an advance, what your percentage is with that label, and then it'll spit out how many streams or sales that you need to actually recoup. So I think it's a good toy to just even play around with and just say, oh, if I got 50,000 or something, if I got 100,000, how many streams do I need to get that back? So yeah, if you Google, or I think somebody just posted the link on it. Yep. So if you check that out, it's awesome tool to play around
I
with.
was going to say, it also lets you spend too much money on an album and then never releases it.
Definitely.
What a great tool. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I said before, Lawyers for Musician podcast. It's on all of those streaming spots, Apple, Spotify, whatever. So yeah, check it out. We posted the first one on managers. Next week we'll have the one up for lawyers, and then we'll go into all the different departments. But then there's tons of episodes up there from the past that are still relevant. Everything that's on there is we go over news topics and just break it down from a legal perspective.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eddie. We're just about at the end of our time.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to throw in there?
Shout out to my wife, shopalexcarter.com. Check it out, buy something, you know.
And also, like, I just want to mention, you know, you've been down to Decatur. You sat in Speakeasy Records, which unfortunately burnt down, but it's resurrected.
Okay, awesome.
You're a friend of the university, and I appreciate the time that you spend with me and with MmX and the students. It's really much appreciated.
It's always a great time, man. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to get back down to Decatur and hang out with the guys. So yeah, I look forward to it. So thank you everyone for participating and hanging out. Reach out to me if you have further questions, anything of that nature. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Eddie.
All right, Martin.
See ya.
Peace, guys.
All right. Wow.
5-minute break.
So we're going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to get some coffee, which was our that was Scratch and Sniff. Our first Scratch and Sniff number 5 was coffee. Whoever got that. Oh, wow, was there a light on the end of that as well? Whoa, high tech rave. So I guess we'll start the countdown for the next panel, and we'll see you in a few.